Hello, Adam here from the Memu team, and in this video I'm going to talk you through Kuiper, which is Memu's granular delay plugin. It's a lot of fun. You can create some pretty dreamy sounds with it, and if you want to download it and give it a go for yourself, we have a free trial on our website, so go to memugloves.com and download it and give it a go. Okay, so this is what it looks like, and in the video I'm going to go through the interface and explain a bit how to use it. And but before we do, I just want to show you a little bit of what's going on in my setup. So I'm using Ableton Live, and you don't need to use Ableton Live. You could be using Logic or some other DAW, because Kuiper comes as an audio unit and as a VST and also as a standalone version of the plugin. So don't worry about the fact I'm using Ableton. Also, I have a few extra channels here that are going on, so I'm recording my voice and the sound for this tutorial, and you wouldn't need any of that. So really it's only this one track here that we're going to focus on. So what I've loaded up here is this sort of basic bells sound. It's actually quite a simple sound, so it's not very complicated. There's not much going on, but that's why I'm using it, so that you can see what the granular delay is adding to that. And you might actually do something with your voice or with a guitar or with some instrument like a piano or anything else. But I've just used a very simple sound so that you can get a feel for what the plugin's doing when you use it. Okay, so I currently have the plugin muted, so I'm going to now turn it on, and I'm just going to play a couple of notes through the plugin, and you're going to sort of hear what it's doing. So what's going on here is it's creating these tiny particles of sound, these little grains, and it's using them. So as the audio is flying along up through the delay line, it's picking them out and rendering them back as a sort of fractured, broken delay. I guess that's the best way to try and explain it. But what I wanted to quickly show you here is that you've got 5 different grain channels, and they've got different pitches. So you've got kind of no transposition, and then you've got an octave up, 2 octaves up, an octave down, and 2 octaves down. So if I turn off all of them except the no transposition one, you can kind of see there that what it's doing. But I can now add like an octave up here. Or also an octave down as well, so we'd have three at once. So you kind of see here, you can actually really build the soundscape that you want. So I'm going to add actually 2 octaves up too. And so you have this kind of control over what the delay is going to sound like in terms of the sort of pitch control. So that's really, really nice. So the next thing I'm going to do is just down here, we have a little bit of inbuilt reverb. That's just going to add to the sound a bit. That's just a little bit of sugar. The parameters here. So what we've got here is the number of grains. So if I at the moment we've got 20 grains happening simultaneously in the delay, and I can reduce that so that could be becomes much sparser, or I can put it all the way up to 100, and it can become quite thick. So you can kind of pick a number somewhere in the middle. Let's pick something quite thick. So the next parameter here is called the grain length. So we can either have really long grains, so that this is all the way up to like a second in length, and so, or we can have really short ones, and you can kind of dial in this sound to sort of where you need it to be. Another thing that you can do is, so that all the grains at the moment are playing forwards. But what you can do is actually say, I want to have them play backwards instead. So particularly if you've got a long grain length, this creates quite a dreamy sound. And actually what I might do here is I might just, so you can really hear, I'm going to turn the dry sound off. So you're not going to hear the notes played coming in, but only the delayed effect. So that gives you kind of an idea of these kind of quite dreamy sounds that you can build with it. So then the grain playback also has an option to play both. So that's basically, it will randomly choose forwards or backwards for each grain. So I'm going to keep it on backwards, but you can have a play with that when you feel like it. So then you've got the max delay time. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to keep the number of grains. I'm going to make quite a short grain length. So we've currently got a max delay time of 1 second. So you kind of notice that it moves from left to right. And that's sort of, as the sound progresses along this sort of delayed sort of bit of audio, that's where the grains are being sourced from. And so what I can do is the max delay time is the length of that sort of pipeline, I guess. So now if I play just like one note, you'll watch as it kind of moves all the way along this kind of quite long delay line, and that's sort of what this parameter is doing. So you might want to put that somewhere sort of lower down, depending on what you're trying to do. But if you wanted to create something huge, that might be what you wanted to use. So the feedback. So if I just play a single note, you see that when it reaches the end of this sort of delay line, it just stops basically. But the feedback sort of feeds some of that delay back into the plugin itself. So what you actually get is a decaying sound that takes much longer. So this is how you can create some quite sort of dreamy decays that are quite nice. And again, you can play then maybe with the grain length and have something that's really long and slow. So I'll take the feedback off for now because it makes it quite hard to hear what the original sound was. So another thing we might want to have, let's put back our dry sound as well, is the width. So what this is doing is it's randomly panning each grain to a certain width. So obviously 100 is really wide, and so you can then now have a much sort of wider feeling in terms of the stereo spread. So I just wanted to come back as well and look again at these parameters here. So what we've got, as well as the on and off, which I showed you earlier, where you can choose. So if you, just to remind you, like I can turn off this 2 octaves up option. So what I can also do is, let's say if I now actually bring it down to just, I've got it as the like no transposition and an octave up. I can actually control the gain of each of these. So maybe if I want to bring down the gain of the octave up one, I can use this control to actually specifically really control exactly how loud that particular pitch in the grain rendering is. So that kind of gives us quite a lot of control. The other thing we've got is control over the actual pitch of each of these channels. So what we could do is we can maybe keep the no transposition one, but maybe instead of an octave up, we're going to go a major third, which would be 4 semitones. And then I'm going to add like a fifth. And so I'm going to turn this one on. So now if I play a single note, so I'll just actually mute the plugin. That's what I'm going to play. And what you hear is you get this sort of, a sort of major chord. So you can actually build these kind of pitch grain clouds, which is kind of quite exciting. So yeah, this is Kuiper. We do have a whole load of presets here that you can, if you just want to dive in and experiment and play with those, then maybe that's what you want to do to begin with. But otherwise, I hope you have some fun with it. As I said, there's a free demo on the website, and if you've got any questions, then please don't hesitate to get in touch with the Memu team. Thanks a lot.